Now, as we know, the entire standardisation system that Ofqual made to standardise the GCSE and A-level exams turned out to be a complete mess. And so a massive U-turn took place and the system was discarded. Now, I celebrated, did a quick video on it and received lots of comments from students from alternative courses who asked whether this U-turn applied to their grades as well. So I thought I'd do a quick video just to answer those questions for you, since the answer varies a bit depending on what course you took. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on the latest news and updates and information and advice when it comes to GCSEs, A-levels and university and beyond. So to start with, let's talk about the IGCSEs and International A-levels. For the IGCSEs, according to Cambridge International, nearly half the grades were changed in the standardisation process, the old one. And initially, they didn't seem too keen on the U-turn, saying, and I quote, "Predicted grades for June 2020 were higher than historical school performance data for the last 3 years." End of quote. And they stated the reason for that as, quote, "Teachers want their students to succeed." End of quote. Well, despite saying that, it looks like they too caught the U-turn bug, since I'm happy to tell you that IGCSEs are going the way of the standard GCSEs as well. And not only that, it's the same for International A-levels too. That's right, IGCSE and A-level students will be awarded grades no lower than their CAGs, their teacher assigned grades. And if your standardised grade was higher, you keep that grade instead of your CAG too. So just to clarify, you're getting your CAGs or the standardised grades if they were higher. So hopefully that puts some of you at ease and also makes some of you students from last week who got their A-levels a little bit happier with what you're getting. Now let's talk about the VTQs, and that includes Btecs as well. Now Ofqual posted up 2 updates about these courses on the 17th and the 18th of August. Now I'm only going to refer to the one on the 18th since it appears to supersede the one on the 17th. So in their usual lengthy and waffly way, Ofqual explained what they plan to do, but I'm going to simplify it for you so that you don't have to read it. Although if you do, the link will be in the description down below. So they basically said that they know that VTQ and Btec students are expecting to get their CAG grades like the GCSE and A-level students, but after thinking about it, they've decided that the answer to whether they'll do the same for VTQs and Btecs is no. Well, why is this the case? Well, listen up, because I think we may actually have a situation where Ofqual might have got something right. Now, just to let you know that I don't teach any VTQs and Btecs, so if I say something wrong, then please point that out to me in the comments down below. So for starters, Ofqual said that the standardisation used for most VTQs and Btecs was different to the one used for the GCSEs and A-levels. And the reason makes sense. It's all down to the structure of the VTQs and how they differ from GCSEs and A-levels. Because of the way that they're structured, teachers of VTQs had a lot more evidence to work with and even had grades for specific units in some cases. Stuff which a lot of GCSE and A-level students and teachers would not necessarily have had when it came to assigning those CAGs. Now this meant that the CAGs didn't have much part to play in the final result for VTQ students, and it appears that the assessment and grades from the past units was already there and could easily be factored into the final grade without any issue. Now listen to this quote from Ofqual because it might make things a little bit easier to understand. They said, and I quote, "Pearson was able to use those banked unit grades and CAGs for units that hadn't been completed to generate the final overall qualification level grade." So basically, Pearson, the exam board, used the data along with the few CAGs that were needed at a unit level and put those all together to end up with that final grade. Now, Ofqual said that this meant that schools and colleges weren't actually surprised when the results came out, with the results that they got. They actually expected them. And they said that overall they hadn't seen the same level of downgrading that the A-levels saw last week when those results came out. They also said that only 0.5% of the unit CAGs were actually adjusted down. And after the recent debacle with the U-turn and everything, they said that they'll have Pearson look into it to see whether those lowered grades should actually have been lowered. So there's going to be a little recheck on those for those of you who experience slightly lower grades. So yeah, simply put, if you got one of those VTQs or Btecs, then you pretty much got what you would have got anyway. So if you're not happy with it, then unfortunately there's probably not much that you can or could have done about it. You were already on course to get the grade that you ended up with, or the qualification that you ended up with. But this is not the case for every single VTQ or Btec. There are a small number which use the same system as the A levels and as the GCSEs, and no doubt they have the same problems where the disadvantaged were disproportionately downgraded in comparison to other schools which had a history of performing better. So according to Ofqual, the exam boards are taking a look at these and will reissue the level 3 grades and change some of the level 2 grades that are yet to come out as of when this video, of course, is recorded. So for those of you with level 2 VTQs or below, your grades may actually come out a little bit later than Thursday, the 20th of August because of this. But we'll see what Ofqual and the exam boards can do in the meantime to speed that up and support you and hopefully get it ready for Thursday. Ofqual ended the article by saying, if you've got an issue, ask your schools and centres. I suggest the same. These organisations, your schools, your centres and the places where you went to for school and where you learnt, they're going to be the best suited to help you with any issues that you have. I can try, but when it comes down to it, I don't know you. I don't know your situation. I don't know the ins and outs of how your school handled their examinations and assessment process. So really, you need to speak to them if there's an issue with your grades. At the same time, however, feel free to comment your opinions and views on this entire thing and ask any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to answer. And if I can't answer, because I am starting to get a bit overwhelmed by the comments, you guys do comment quite a lot. But if I can't answer, or if I can't reach you, or if I miss you, then don't worry. Someone from the community, one of your fellow students from around the country will, I'm sure, be happy to jump in and answer that question for you. Personally, when I look at this announcement though, I think this is a win. The reason being that even if you weren't happy with your grade, at least you know that the majority of it was your grade. It's your past units, the work that you've done, not mostly a professional estimate like the GCSEs and A levels. A negative outcome in this situation is unlikely to be due to an unfair system or an unfair teacher. And likewise, a positive outcome isn't down to your teacher or down to the system. It's all down to you, or for the most part, down to you. So let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below, whether you agree with that or not. So yeah, that's all for today. Hopefully those of you not taking purely the typical GCSEs and A levels that seem to dominate the headlines, hopefully you guys found this useful. I know sometimes you can feel like you're being overlooked or that we don't pay as much attention to you because we seem to always be going on about GCSEs and A levels. But we do, and we do recognise that you guys are deserving of our attention as well. So yeah, that's all. Please remember to subscribe, and that's all for now. Until next time.